Have you ever stopped to think that money is actually just a language? It is not merely numbers on a screen or digits in a bank account. It is a system of exchange that reflects how we value our time, our energy, and our relationships. When we look at people who have achieved significant financial success, the first thing we often notice is their external circumstances. Their cars, their homes, their brands. But if you dig deeper into their stories, specifically through biographies and detailed accounts of their lives, you find something far more interesting than a list of assets. You find a consistent pattern of thought processes that allowed them to navigate the complexities of the economy in ways most people do not. The goal of this video is not to tell you how to get rich quick, because there are no shortcuts that work for everyone without risk or effort. Instead, I want to invite you to consider studying the mindsets of wealthy individuals as a form of intellectual exercise. By reading biographies of financially successful individuals, we can understand their attitudes toward money, which in turn helps us understand how we might reframe our own relationship with resources and opportunity. Let me start by defining what I mean when I talk about wealth mindset. It is not simply the desire to have more things. In fact, many wealthy people are quite minimalist in their personal possessions. The difference lies in how they perceive value. To a person operating from a scarcity mindset, money is a finite resource that must be guarded fiercely against loss. They view every dollar as a victim of inflation or theft if it leaves their pocket. This defensive posture often leads to hoarding, fear-based investing, and an inability to take calculated risks because the cost of failure feels catastrophic. In contrast, wealthy individuals tend to operate from an abundance mindset. They do not see money as something that belongs to them. They see it as a tool that flows through their hands. They understand that value is created when resources are moved from where they are less useful to where they are more useful. This shift in perspective changes everything about how they make decisions, negotiate deals, and interact with the world around them. When you read biographies of people like Warren Buffett or Oprah Winfrey, you will notice this abundance mentality woven into their narratives. It is not just that they made money. It is that they approached problems as puzzles to be solved rather than obstacles to be feared. For example, consider how many successful entrepreneurs view failure. To the average person, a business failure is a stain on their record, a reason to hide or quit. But in the biographies of wealthy founders, you will often find detailed accounts of failures that were treated as tuition fees for future success. They did not let a setback define their identity. Instead, they analyzed what went wrong, adjusted their strategy, and moved forward with renewed clarity. This resilience is a key component of wealth creation because it allows them to endure the inevitable ups and downs of any venture without losing their nerve or their vision. Another critical aspect found in these biographies is the concept of time management as a financial strategy. Wealthy people understand that time is the one resource they cannot earn back once spent. Therefore, they treat every hour with extreme intentionality. In many accounts, you will see them saying no to social obligations that do not align with their long-term goals. They prioritize deep work over shallow distraction. This might sound like a cliché, but when applied consistently over decades, it compounds into massive results. If you spend 10 hours a day on low-value tasks, you are effectively paying someone else to do your thinking for you. Wealthy individuals often automate or delegate these lower-level tasks so they can focus their cognitive energy on high-leverage activities like innovation, strategy, and relationship building. This is not about working harder. It is about working smarter by aligning daily actions with long-term objectives. Furthermore, there is a profound difference in how wealthy people view debt. Most financial advice warns against debt, but that is often too simplistic. The distinction lies in the purpose of the borrowing. A person with a scarcity mindset takes on debt to consume, buying a new car they do not need or financing a vacation they cannot afford. This increases their liabilities without increasing their assets. However, wealthy individuals often use debt as leverage to acquire income-generating assets. They borrow money at low interest rates to purchase businesses, real estate, or intellectual property that generates cash flow higher than the cost of borrowing. This is known as positive leverage. It requires a level of financial literacy and risk tolerance that most people never develop because they are too focused on survival rather than growth. Reading biographies helps you understand this nuance so you do not confuse reckless spending with strategic investment. we also need to talk about the role of relationships in wealth accumulation. Many people believe that money comes from hard work alone, but history shows us repeatedly that opportunity often comes through connections. In biographies of successful individuals, there is almost always a mention of mentors, partners, or networks that provided support during critical moments. Wealthy people understand that they cannot do everything themselves. They build teams and surround themselves with people who are smarter than them in specific areas. This humility to admit what you do not know is often mistaken for weakness by those operating from ego-driven mindsets, but it is actually a sign of strength because it opens the door to collaboration. Collaboration multiplies effort. Competition divides it. When you work alone, your output is limited by your own capacity. When you build a network of contributors, your potential expands exponentially. This social capital is often undervalued in modern society, yet it is one of the most reliable predictors of long-term financial success. Another theme that emerges when studying these mindsets is the importance of continuous learning. Wealthy people are rarely satisfied with what they know today because they understand that the world changes rapidly. Technology shifts, markets evolve, and consumer behaviors transform overnight. If you stop learning, you become obsolete. Biographies often highlight how successful individuals dedicate significant portions of their time to reading, research, and skill acquisition. They treat education not as a phase of life that ends after graduation, but as a lifelong practice. This curiosity drives innovation. When you are curious about how things work, you find ways to improve them. Innovation is the engine of wealth creation in the modern economy. It is not enough to save money. You must create new value. Saving preserves what you have. Creating expands what you can have. The mindset shift here is from being a consumer of resources to being a creator of solutions. Let me also touch upon the concept of legacy and giving back. There is a common misconception that wealthy people hoard their wealth for themselves or their families. While some do, many of the most successful individuals view philanthropy as an extension of their business acumen. They understand that money has a half-life. If it sits in a bank account, inflation erodes its value over time. By deploying capital into causes they care about, they not only help society but also create meaning and purpose for themselves. This is not just about feeling good. It is about ensuring that their wealth continues to generate positive impact long after they are gone. Many biographies show how these individuals set up trusts or foundations early in their careers so that the management of their giving becomes a structured part of their life rather than an afterthought. This discipline ensures that generosity does not become dependent on mood or circumstance, but is instead a consistent practice rooted in values. It is also important to address the emotional component of wealth. Money can be a source of immense stress if it is tied to insecurity or fear. Wealthy people often cultivate emotional stability because they understand that panic leads to poor decisions. When you are afraid of losing money, you tend to make conservative choices that limit your upside. When you are confident in your ability to recover from losses, you can take the risks necessary for growth. This confidence does not come from arrogance. It comes from competence and experience. It comes from knowing that you have a plan B, or even better, a plan C. Security is not having a lot of money. Security is having the skills and networks to survive any scenario. Biographies reveal how many wealthy individuals prioritize mental health and resilience just as much as financial metrics because they know that a broken mind cannot manage a healthy bank account. We must also consider the impact of environment on mindset. Wealthy people often curate their environments carefully. They choose where they live, who they associate with, and what media they consume. This is not about materialism. It is about alignment. If you surround yourself with negative influences or people who complain about money constantly, your own thinking will eventually shift to match that frequency. Conversely, if you immerse yourself in environments of innovation and growth, your brain begins to operate differently. You start noticing opportunities where others see problems. This environmental engineering is a subtle but powerful tool for mindset development. It reinforces the habits you want to build while filtering out distractions that pull you back toward mediocrity. One specific area where biographies offer valuable insight is in the realm of negotiation and communication. Wealthy individuals are often exceptional communicators because they understand that money flows through trust. You cannot negotiate a deal with someone who does not believe you will honor your word. Therefore, reputation becomes one of their most valuable assets. They build reputations for integrity even when it costs them short-term gains. This might seem counterintuitive in a competitive world, but over the long term, trust reduces transaction costs. When people trust you, they are more willing to work with you, share information with you, and support your ventures. Trust is the currency of high-level relationships. Without it, even the most brilliant ideas will fail because no one will invest their time or resources in them. Another key takeaway from studying these mindsets is the understanding of patience. In a world that demands instant gratification through social media and fast food culture, wealthy people often exhibit remarkable patience. They understand that compound interest applies to money as well as habits and relationships. If you plant a seed today, it will take time to grow into a tree. You cannot rush the process without damaging the roots. Many biographies describe periods of intense focus where these individuals did not seek external validation or quick wins. They trusted their systems and allowed results to emerge naturally over years rather than months. This patience is often misunderstood as passivity, but it is actually active waiting. It involves doing the work consistently while resisting the urge to intervene prematurely. This discipline is essential for any long-term project, whether it is building a company or building a life of purpose. We should also discuss the difference between income and wealth. Income is what you earn. Wealth is what you keep. Many people have high incomes but low net worth because they spend everything they make on lifestyle inflation. Wealthy individuals are acutely aware of this trap. They often live below their means, relative to their earnings, so that they can invest the surplus into assets that appreciate over time. This distinction is crucial because it shifts the focus from consumption to accumulation. Consumption satisfies immediate desires but leaves you vulnerable when income stops. Accumulation builds a foundation for future freedom. When you read biographies, you will see this pattern repeatedly. High savings rates followed by strategic reinvestment. It is not about being cheap. It is about prioritizing future security over present comfort. There is also the element of risk tolerance that needs to be addressed. Wealthy people are not immune to failure, but they have a higher threshold for what constitutes acceptable risk. They understand that avoiding all risk guarantees no reward. The goal is not to eliminate risk but to manage it intelligently. This involves diversification, hedging, and having contingency plans. It also involves understanding the difference between volatility and ruin. Volatility is normal. Ruin is avoidable through preparation. Biographies often show how these individuals stress test their ideas before fully committing resources. They run small experiments first to validate assumptions before scaling up. This scientific approach to business reduces the likelihood of catastrophic failure while maximizing the potential for success. Finally, let me talk about the importance of storytelling in wealth creation. Wealthy people are often great storytellers because they understand that humans respond to narratives more than raw data. When you pitch an idea or sell a product, you are not just selling features. You are selling a vision of how life could be better. Biographies reveal how many successful individuals spent time crafting their personal stories and the stories of their companies. They knew that people buy into dreams before they buy into products. This storytelling ability extends to internal motivation as well. When you have a compelling narrative about why you do what you do, it sustains you through difficult times. It gives your work meaning beyond mere financial gain. Meaning is a powerful driver of performance and creativity. Without purpose, even the most lucrative career can feel empty. So, how does this apply to you? The answer lies in action. You cannot simply read about these mindsets and expect them to magically appear in your life. You must practice them daily. Start by selecting one biography that resonates with you. It could be a business leader, an artist, or even someone who overcame significant adversity. Read it not just for the facts but for the underlying principles. Take notes on how they handled challenges. Reflect on their decisions and ask yourself what you would have done in similar situations. Then, implement one small change based on what you learned. Maybe it is saving a portion of your income instead of spending it all. Maybe it is reaching out to a mentor or joining a community that aligns with your goals. Progress is incremental. It does not happen overnight. But consistency compounds over time just like money does. In conclusion, studying wealthy people's mindsets through biographies is an investment in your own cognitive development. It provides a framework for understanding how resources are created and managed effectively. It challenges you to look beyond surface-level success and examine the internal processes that drive it. By adopting attitudes of abundance, resilience, curiosity, and purpose, you can transform your relationship with money regardless of your current financial status. Money is not the ultimate goal. It is a tool for achieving freedom and impact. When you align your mindset with this truth, wealth becomes a natural byproduct of living a meaningful life rather than an obsessive pursuit that consumes everything else. I encourage you to begin this journey today by picking up a book and committing to learn from those who have walked the path before you. The insights are there, waiting for you if you take the time to read them carefully. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this video valuable, please hit the like button and subscribe for more.